everybody, Steve here, and today we're taking a look at Bowl-O-Rama from Play.com. This was originally released back in 2002, designed by Keith Avalone. It is for 1 to up to, I guess, as many friends as you want to get together to bowl a game. And a full 10 frames is going to take you anywhere from just a couple of seconds to about 5 minutes. And the reason for that variance in time is because there's actually 4 different ways that you can play this game. There is a participant full mode where you'll roll the die actually on the board, and depending on where it lands, that's going to determine how many pins you knock down. Then there is a spectator full mode where you'll roll the 20-sided die with a d6 just on the table to determine how many pins you've knocked down. And then there are 2 different quick modes of play. The participant mode, where you'll roll the die once on the game board, and then finally a spectator quick mode, where you'll roll the d20 and the d6 again on the table, and that's going to determine your score for the 10 frames. So, depending on what you're looking for in a bowling game, whether you want to just have a fun, almost party-like game with a group of friends, or if you're looking for a game to simulate out a season with a set of pros and go through a season play like that, you can do both of those with this game. But are any of them any fun? Well, everyone grab your league shirt, get your rented shoes, put on your bowling gloves, and let's take a look inside the box. I'll show you a couple samples of play, and then I'll tell you what I think after further review.
Okay, so here's everything that you get inside the box. You get a 2-piece game board. That's the approach board and then the target board. And I'll show you how that works here in just a minute. You get 4 sample bowler cards from the fictional Bowling America set. And then you get a set of these cards that are just a range of averages. So if you want to bowl as yourself, you just pick the card that most closely represents your average, and then you can play a game like that. There is the game booklet. The first part of the rule book has all of the spare attempts for when you have 6 or more pins left. The other spare attempts will come from the player's card, the most common ones, where you knock down 7 or more on your first ball. And then there are some unusual and rare results. It wouldn't be a Play.com game without unusual and rare results. And then there is the quick play chart. And then finally the last half of the booklet has all the rules for the game. Lastly in the box, there's 2 set of dice, 20-sided and a d6 in both black and white. And then there are 3 blank score sheets, and when you run out of those, you can just go to the Play.com freebies page to download some more. So let's take a closer look at the player cards. Here we'll take a look at Elvis Matthews from the fictional Bowling America Congress set. And a couple of items to note: his average, which you'll use if you're doing the quick play mode, and then his spare rating, and this will come into play if he bowls a really bad ball on his first one and leaves 6 or more pins for his second shot. And then over here, this first highlighted column, that's where you're going to check on your first ball roll of each frame. And there are 3 separate columns, and that's for an exceptional ball, a normal ball, and then a questionable ball. And then finally, these columns are for your spare attempts when you've knocked 7 or more pins down on your first ball, and how you'll go to those. Let's say if you rolled a 16 normal, and that means you knocked down 8 pins and you've left yourself in a positive position to pick up the spare, so it's like two pins that are right close together. And so you roll again, and then you consult the 8+ column. And then you'll see that there are also Y and U results. That's where you'll get results of you only knock down 6 pins or 5 pins, and actually you can go all the way down to completely missing and throwing a gutter ball and knocking down no pins. And how do you tell if you've thrown an exceptional, a normal, or a questionable ball? Well, if you're playing in the participant mode, either the full or the quick play, it's going to depend on where the 20-sided die lands on the target board. If it lands anywhere out here, it's a normal ball. If it lands inside the pin area, that's an exceptional. And then if it lands anywhere else, that's a questionable ball. When you're playing the spectator mode, either the full or the quick play, the D6 roll is going to determine what kind of ball you rolled. A roll of a 1 will be an exceptional, a roll of a 6 is a questionable, and then anything else will be a normal ball. Okay, so let's go through a couple of frames here. We'll have Elvis Matthews from Dedham, Massachusetts, and he'll be taking on Dewey Pelicano from New York, New York. And Elvis will be playing in the participant full mode, and I'll have Dewey playing in the spectator full mode, so you can see how those two play out. So for Elvis, we're going to roll just the 20-sided die. Ooh, and I just made it onto the target board, and I rolled a 4. We'll look at his card, and a 4 normal is a strike. So we'd mark down a strike for the first frame, and then it's Dewey's turn, and he's playing in the spectator mode, so we're going to roll both dice, and we rolled a 1, and then a 4 tells us that it's a normal or routine shot. So we look over here, and he also has a strike, and we're done with frame number 1. So Elvis back up. Oh, and he rolled a 15, and it actually fell off the board, so that's going to be a questionable. So we'll go over here, and we see a 15 questionable is a Y. So we're going to use both of the D6s. And we rolled a 32, and that tells us it's a 6 minus. So he knocked down 6 pins and didn't leave himself in a very good spot. So we'll go to the game booklet and we'll find the 6 minus spare attempts column. And then this is where the spare rating of the bowler will come into effect. So Elvis is a spare B. I'll roll, and he rolled a 13 and didn't get inside there, so it's a normal shot. So we'll use the B column, and a 13 tells us that he only knocked down 2 pins with his second ball, so he'll leave 2 pins standing. And then we'll go to Dewey for his second frame, and he gets a 14 normal, and we see that that means that he knocked down 9 pins. So we'll roll again, see if he can pick up the spare, and he rolled an 8 normal, so we go to the 9 column and an 8, and it tells us that he picked up the spare. And then you just continue that way until you finish the 10 frames. If you're going to do a quick play, participant full mode, you'll roll the die on the board, see where it lands. So in this case it's a normal ball of a 14, and then you'd go to the quick play bowling mode chart in the book, and we'll look here, and so we'll see a 14 of a normal ball, and it would just be minus 11 from the bowler's average. So we look here on the top of Elvis's card, he is a 216 average, so for that first game he would have bowled a 205. And then the other mode of play is the spectator quick play, and then you just roll the 20 and the D6. And in the same way, if you get a 1, it's an exceptional ball. A 6 is a questionable. So in this case, we rolled a 6 of a normal ball. You go up to the normal chart, and you see that in this case, he rolled 13 over his average. So he would have bowled a 229 for that game.
Okay, everybody, so there's Bowl-O-Rama. As you can see, a very quick game to both set up and to explain. Depending on how you want to play it, either the full participant modes or the spectator modes, you're going to be able to knock out a full 10 frames in no time at all. If I had to mention a couple of downsides, I did find that when you're looking for the spare results for when you've left 6 or more pins standing, sometimes that can be a little fiddly. But on the other hand, you really don't have to consult those charts that often because professional bowlers rarely leave 6 or more pins standing on their first throw. And the other downside would be that if you're looking for a real hardcore simulation of professional bowling, your results are going to vary widely on this just because of the variability of the dice, and especially if you're playing through a season in the participant mode, your results are going to vary just based on your own skill of keeping the die on the game board and where it lands. But on the other hand, if you're just looking for a nice, light, fun game, this is definitely going to fit the bill. I feel that this would be a fantastic game to try to introduce sports games to your regular board gaming group and just have it be sort of a fun little filler game in between your other games, and have everyone just play in the participant full mode, have some fun rolling dice, laughing at your friends as they roll it off the board and get to the questionable results. And in that way, they can see that sports games can be light and fun as well. And also, if you do want to run through a full season, it's definitely something that's very doable just because of how quick you can knock out other bowlers with just the quick play and just one roll. You'll find their result for a full 10 frames. And then if you wanted to, say, control one bowler through the season, that would make it much more manageable. So really, regardless of what kind of bowling game experience you're looking for in your tabletop, I think that Bowl-O-Rama is going to have you covered. Alright guys, that's all for now. Thank you for watching. My name's Steve, and I'll see you next time after further review.